Welcome to The Rest is Giant Robots, a conversation through the careers of writer Simon Furman and artist Andrew Wildman. Recollections and revelations about the highs and the lows as creatives in comics, books, games, film and TV. Welcome to The Rest is Giant Robots, episode 27. 27, that number doesn't have any significance to anything else at all, does it?
But it feels a lot.
It feels a lot. Yeah, we're over I was going to say we're over the quarter of the century, but that doesn't mean anything either.
No.
We're over 25, which was a milestone. If you haven't seen the milestone 25th episode yet, then go and watch it.
Yeah. And yes, welcome. I'm Simon Furman.
We don't do that anymore. Everybody knows who we are.
Don't we even say our names?
Oh, just to distinguish who each of us is, because we look so much alike.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. He's Simon Furman.
And he's Andrew Wald. There we go. That's confusing. So this time we're going to do what we did before once and just trawl through the movies we've seen at the cinema and ones we maybe missed at the cinema and caught on pay-per-view TV.
I thought I'd written down more notes than I'm actually seeing on here, but I'll just make up the bits that I didn't put in.
Yeah. Well,
okay,
let's talk about Fantastic Four, because
let's get that one out of the way.
Yeah, we've both seen that most recently, so it's uppermost in our minds. And I should say before I talk about Fantastic Four, this is pretty much all I've seen apart from 28 years later at the cinema are comic book movie adaptations. So I've seen Thunderbolts, Superman, and Fantastic Four First Steps. So I just want you to all to bear that in mind, that it's not been, I don't know, edifying, this experience. You know, I don't feel spiritually enriched by the set of movies or challenged particularly by them. But Fantastic Four, at least, I really did like, and I thought it's a proper movie. It's not, you know, I mean, my first thought, and sorry, you can jump in a minute, was it's unlike the other Marvel movies or even a Superman movie, in as much as you don't need to have seen any film before this one just to enjoy it. It's entry level. There's no baggage.
Okay.
Did you get that? Did it work that way for you?
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? I don't really know, because when you know this stuff, do you really know what it's going to be like for somebody who doesn't know this stuff? I mean, I went with a friend of mine, Jim, who he kind of knows what it is. So when we got in and sat down, and there were only 4 people in there.
Okay.
We were the Fantastic Four. I didn't know who the other 2 were. There was a blonde woman, and then the guy looked like he was made out of rocks. No, they weren't. So I don't really know. But Jim said to me, so there's like the Human Torch, and that's Johnny Storm, isn't it? This was before the film started, so he was just reminding himself about actually who the Fantastic Four are. So he knew that much, but beyond that, I don't really think he knew anything. But maybe you don't need to know any more than that. I don't know.
I mean, I thought, you know, and fundamentally we'll try not to be too deep spoilery here, but I thought fundamentally where it worked is it remembered that Fantastic Four in the comics, in any media, is about a family. It's very family centric in the end. A family who bicker and, you know, and get annoyed with each other, and the introduction of the baby, i.e. Franklin Richards, I thought was genius, because it sort of gave you that scale of threat where you've got the very small personal threat to the child, as opposed to the gigantic planet-eating menace coming from the stars, and it kind of grounded it for me in that way, and so I was quite happy with the whole film, really.
Right. What did you think stylistically, the style choice?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting, but it didn't quite. It had a vision, I think, of what it wanted to be, this sort of space age version of the 60s that, you know, kept reminding me of the Jetsons a bit,
Exactly, yes.
which wasn't good, I will admit.
I expected
But
all the, I expected the anything that was flying to go, oh,
yes, but then they slightly ruin that by having tiny little TV sets
yeah.
in shop windows, and you think, well, so what? They can make a flying car, but they
Mm.
can't make a jumbo-sized TV screen. It
Well,
just
which made it very retro futuristic.
yes, but it just the two things didn't quite gel.
But in
So,
Times Square,
mm,
the big screens, which we see now as like massive plasma screens or whatever, they were like big TVs as well, with like big,
yeah,
kind of slightly wonky shaped borders around the edge, like proper
yeah,
60s Jetsons styling.
that's true. Yeah, and they're not just that. We see from that whole sequence where the Human Torch chases Shalabal's Silver Surfer that there
Yeah.
are screens everywhere, aren't they,
Mm.
of this magnitude?
Mm.
Because she's surrounded by everywhere she goes. There are more of these screens, and yet in the shop window, little boxy TV sets. So
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't quite thought through. You felt,
It was like stylistically, it was like a live action Pixar movie. Like,
yes,
the Incredibles or something. It was just I didn't like it. I get the style choice. So okay, so I'm not completely up to date with the kind of the Marvel Cinematic Universe thing at the moment. In as much as is this an alternative Earth?
yes, yeah,
So they're pulling
definitely.
together different realities for some kind of big thing,
Yeah,
aren't
I
they?
mean they've been doing that for a while, and I have a feeling uh the Avengers Doomsday
Doomsday.
thing is going to be multiple realities because Fantastic Four are in that.
It's going to be
Um,
basically Secret Wars or something like that, isn't it?
yeah, except I think they've got something else in the work called Secret Wars. So
Or more like DC's Crisis on Infinite Earths or something.
probably, yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. Um, so yeah, I mean, it very much, it's Earth, whatever it is, and that's Jack Kirby's birthday, 868 or something. It's
Oh right.
basically Earth. It says at the beginning, Earth dash whatever three figures, and those three figures are Jack Kirby's birthday, which is just a little bit of trivia I read
Okay.
online, as you do.
Right. That completely passed me by. But
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. So no,
Okay.
parallel Earth. And
Yeah.
that's fine, and that's also I like because I thought, oh, good, it hasn't got to have X hundred guest star tiny cameos in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Enough
you're
of that.
going, who's that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I liked it. I really liked it because it felt like a movie with a beginning, a middle, and end. They got a bit like Superman. They got all the preamble stuff almost done in a kind of trailery way
Hmm.
out of the thing. No origin story, no nothing. It's just here they are. They fought the mole man. They fought the mad thinker. Da da dum. And that's it. We know who they are, courtesy of that little sort of TV style show intro, which I
Yeah.
thought was good. And then it became a proper movie to me with a beginning, a middle, an end, an all is lost moment, and then, wow, they do it in the end. And I thought Vanessa Kirby was brilliant as Sue Richards,
Hmm.
and a really empathic kind of film. I liked all the leads, which really helped.
I think Vanessa Kirby was the star of the movie. And
Mm.
I think Sue Storm was the lead character.
Yes.
So I think
Yeah.
she should. I don't know why she didn't have top billing. I mean, she was not
Mm.
only was she the best actor in it, but she was the most key character.
Yeah. But I really liked the Silver Surfer character. I thought the actress, I'm not sure of the name, played
Hmm.
it really well. I like the Human Torch. The Thing was okay, and the only downer for me was slightly Pedro Pascal's Mr. Fantastic.
I I had to Google before. Was it well after? No, after I'd seen it, I had to Google it. Has Pedro Pascal ever appeared without a mustache. It's like, why has Reed Richards got a mustache? I don't
Yes.
understand that at all. And he
No.
has. He hasn't
Okay.
always had a tash, but he generally he
Mm.
does these days. Um, I thought,
Mm.
is he got? There's something about his face he doesn't like, so he always has a tash. But he's a
Yeah.
fine, handsome chap without his tash. But so that I thought that was a bit odd. Made it a bit
Mm.
because tashes are always like a bit porn star, don't they?
Yes. But I mean, what I liked about Fantastic Four as well, yes, apart from odd things like TV sets, nothing stopped me and took me out of the movie. I
Mm,
didn't find there were huge, it wasn't sort of silly level of action and destruction, compared to Superman, which we'll get onto. The end destruction, you lose any kind of interest in it because it's so almost over the top nonsensical.
yeah,
And it just seems to sort of be stopped and sealed up afterwards. But at least with this, it was a kind of we're going to evacuate everybody into the underground and some buildings are going to get destroyed.
yeah,
But, it just wasn't sort of ridiculously, that kind of, it's almost like summer films feel they need to up the level every time. And
mm,
Fantastic Four just didn't. It
mm,
wasn't crazy on sort of effects and the whole sequence in space where Sue is giving birth and
yeah,
they're being pursued by the Silver Surfer. I just thought was a brilliant bit of cinema, because you've got that twin, threat and worry going on. I thought it was a really good sequence.
yeah. Kind of interesting that she's lying there, kind of, akimbo, pointing towards the other two
Yes.
characters, her brother and
Yes.
and Ben
Yeah.
Grimm, and then suddenly he comes in and sorts it all out. I thought, yes, it's kind of a bit weird.
Well,
Strap her
anyway,
down.
we'll have to
No,
get,
don't strap me down. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
But yeah,
I,
but
I,
you didn't love it.
I didn't love it. I was saying kind of before the intro to our Prime members. Well, no, it was even before that. I was chatting to you before we
Yes.
even pressed the
Yeah.
record button. I was saying that when it finished and the credits started to roll, I looked at Jim, friend that went to see it with, and we both had this like okay kind of look on our face, like
Mm.
really, oh, that was a bit shit, wasn't it? Um, I've pondered it a bit more, and I was thinking about it this morning, and I like it today. I like it more than I did yesterday.
Mm.
But some of the things that I don't like about some of the things I don't like about it, I still really, really don't like. But I've thought about other things that I've kind of noticed since I've been thinking about it that make it good that hadn't really sunk in yesterday. So the things that make it good are exactly like you say. It's a proper movie. It's not all just gratuitous destruction, and it's a very not female led. It's a very kind of female view movie as opposed to a male view movie. So,
Mm.
so traditionally, all these kind of movies, the narrative for me is all so male or masculine driven. It's all about fight everybody, destroy everything in an effort to get the thing into the thing. It's like such a
Yeah.
male narrative. That's their only goal in life. You have to put the thing in the thing to, save the world. I mean, hey, we're guys, yeah, we get it.
Yeah.
What I liked about this is that it's a very female thing. It's not about that. It's about saving something. It's about nurturing something. It's about looking after the
Mm.
thing that's vulnerable. And like
Yep.
you said, the introduction of Franklin is very much that. So that I really loved. And during the movie, I was like, I'm not up to date with Marvel lore in terms of the comics. So I know Captain Marvel is female these days. Is the Silver Surfer female? I don't know. But they made the choice to make the Silver Surfer Shallabal rather than Norrin Rad.
Mm.
So when that first occurred, I thought, why have they done that? It's such a classic Kirby character. But then
Mm.
and when when she did, they showed how she changed into the Silver Surfer. It's like, why the silver hair? Like, why
Yeah.
why's it got hair? There's no other. there's no other anything like white hair. But then, but then it's a perfect kind of female narrative, um, because Sue Storm is the main character in the whole movie, the main
Yeah,
hero character,
yeah,
and the antagonist, apart from Galactus, seems to be Shalabel. But then they both understand each other. Shalabel had a child that
yeah.
she, so that's a
Hmm.
perfect narrative. The whole
And also,
Galactus thing. Yeah,
yeah,
sorry, go
sorry,
on.
I'll just say on the Silver Surfer thing and changing the sex to female, what I think it did was give a much meatier role to the Johnny Storm Human Torch character, because that was his bit, wasn't it, in the film? It was, he's sort of, fancying her, but it gave him a thing to do in the film. He's the one who
Yeah.
translates the language. He's the one who, sort of confronts her a couple of times and, does, aids the sort of the last minute switch around and things. And I
But
just
he
thought
could do that anyways, even if it was a male surfer, couldn't
I
he?
don't know. I think it worked. For me, it completely worked, that one. So it didn't jar.
Because the other thing that occurs, the Johnny Storm he is that old-fashioned, he's that cheeky, sexy, or not even sexist, but he's
Yeah,
that guy, isn't he?
yeah. He's
So there's
sort of.
some of that content in it, but I guess he kind of has some development around that
Hmm,
attitude.
I think so. I think it.
Galactus, you could argue that Galactus is like the expression of toxic masculinity or something. I don't
Yes,
know. He's
yeah,
just there to devour everything.
yeah. But
And he's
I
got a
like.
female slave as a
Yeah.
herald.
I mean, we should probably move on quickly. But my other slight problem was Galactus, because once I knew it was Ralph Ineson, the actor's
Mm.
name, who is
Yeah,
Finchy in The
yeah.
Office, it was really hard to take him seriously. It was just, I thought he was going to say something awful and sexist to Sue Storm all the time. It just, it was just, I couldn't. It's him, even with a helmet and makeup on. It's clearly him enough
Yeah.
that every time Collectors was in close up, I was like thinking, it's Finchy. It's Finchy from The Office.
I don't know why his face was very organic behind the mask. I
Hmm.
don't know. Again, they could have done something to make it less
Yeah.
human looking, because why would Galactus look that human? I don't know.
No.
But okay, so just one last thing on the Fantastic
Yep.
Four. The thing that massively let it down for me was the quality of the VFX. They were shocking. I mean, the stuff with Franklin towards the end,
Mm.
not at the very, very end, but when, he's with Sue, it's just, oh my God,
Mhm.
that's sub 1990s VFX. It was just dreadful. And the animation of the thing, I don't know whether they used mocap, but if they did, it didn't look like it. It
Mm.
was really clumsy animation, and the cloth dynamics on him were not good.
No.
Sorry,
I d
guys, if somebody out there is listening that worked on that, because I know how difficult that stuff is, but
Yeah. And I
it
didn't
didn't
dig the
cut
whole
it.
beard thing, even though I think it does come out of a comic somewhere. I just thought he's made of rocks. Why would he grow a beard? It just, duh.
The rock
Um,
beard.
anyway, let's quickly move on, shall we? Let's move
Yeah.
on to let's break up the superhero movies with something else, shall we?
I
So
reckon we're going to get 2 episodes of this. We've got
I think
so
we are,
much
because I
stuff.
don't think we're going to get through everything. But I, you know, as I said, none of the cinematic things, because it's all been somewhat summer blockbusters or
Yeah.
something like 28 Years Later, which we'll have a chat about in a bit. But none
Mm.
of them have left me feeling, well, actually, no, I think I'm glad I saw them at the cinema, because you get the scale and the spectacle and the sound quality.
Yeah. Mm.
But honestly, none of them have made me think, sort of, yeah, I must go to the cinema more often, because none of them have been sort of, I don't know, they haven't moved me, they haven't sort of touched me, or made me think. And,
No.
I've seen a couple of movies, and we're not going to go into deep in these on the pay-per-view. And the two movies I've seen have been The Apprentice, the one about sort of younger Donald Trump,
Mm, mm.
and The Penguin Letters, the
Mm,
Steve Coogan, based on a true story one. Now, both of those felt like proper movies. I was
mm.
completely invested in The Apprentice, and I didn't think I was going to be because I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. And did I really want to know about his early life? I thought it was a brilliantly put together film.
Yeah,
You've seen
yeah.
it, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I saw it in the cinema. I mean, how accurate it is. I mean, these things are never 100% accurate, are they? But it certainly gave you an insight into, even if it was, even if they played fast and loose with some of the history or the narrative or whatever, nevertheless, it did, as a broad brush, give you an insight into the psychology of Donald Trump. Very much so. And
Yes.
Cohen, the
Oh,
solicitor
yeah.
guy, so
It,
instrumental in all of that. And you could, because he was almost like the mentor character, you could see that through
yeah.
what the mentor was saying.
And of course, I love the actor in Succession, and he's just so
Yeah,
good in this. Really, really
yeah,
good. I mean, thoroughly loathsome.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
and in a clever way, it works to make Donald Trump character less loathsome because you've got a far more loathsome character to loathe. It's that clever thing of if you've got an anti-hero, you make sure the villain they're fighting is far worse than they are. So you do so I just thought it was
yeah,
cleverly done
mm,
and just really well acted. Sebastian
yeah,
Stan, I thought was excellent.
mm.
Once I stopped thinking of him as the Winter Soldier, I was away with it, really.
Yeah, yeah. You need to switch off all your other movies before you
Y-
go go and
Yes,
see something.
and the Penguin Letters, I loved to bits. When I'd seen the trailer, I thought, oh God, I don't want to see that because they made it seem like a sort of dopey, kid family friendly, cute animal movie.
Yeah,
And it was
mm,
none of those things when you saw it. And it was only when my wife told me the true story behind it, I thought, oh, okay, that sounds more interesting.
mm,
And I thought it was a brilliant film, really heart warming, brilliantly acted by Coogan. And I
mm.
just I just thought, oh, this is the kind of movie I want to see, but I don't necessarily need to see them at the cinema, which is sad.
Yeah, again, I saw it at the cinema only because, I'll go see anything at the cinema because I've already paid for it, but with my annual ticket. But I think anything is better at the cinema. A,
Mm,
because the sound system in the cinema is going to be, if it's a good cinema, it's going to be better than the sound system you've got at home.
yeah,
And just the scale, you can completely lose yourself in it.
yeah.
Even a film like The Penguin Letters, you can
Mm,
get completely absorbed in it.
yes. I mean, that's true. And, the other great thing about seeing a film at the cinema is no interruptions. You just sit
Yeah.
down, watch the film, and then leave the cinema. At home, you do tend to press pause and, you're distracted.
Yeah, go make a cup of tea. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
I, one film which we weren't going to talk about, but just briefly mention it. We went to see Four Letters of Love, I think it's called, um, which is a good film. I didn't understand any of it. It's Pierce Brosnan and Helena Bonham Carter, whatever. I had to really kind of have a think about it because I didn't get it, and Leslie, with my wife afterwards, she's like, "What didn't you understand about it?" Like to her, it was all completely obvious. Well, that's partly because m my go-to cinema content is slightly different to hers, but it's also because I fell asleep at least twice, and that does happen for me.
Yeah, I mean, it is good, as you say, the cinema because you do tend to, be in the moment more.
Mm, yeah. Mm.
Anyway, so
What's next then?
what should we talk about? Why don't you talk about, because I haven't seen it and I don't think I'm going to see it, the latest Jurassic Park.
Okay.
I mean,
Jurassic World Rebirth. Okay. I'd heard great things about this. I mean, I'd seen the trailer. I thought, yeah, this looks good. Scarlett Johansson, yeah, great. Yeah, I mean, the cast was good, nicely in place. It was kind of moving on or rebooting slightly or whatever previous Jurassic World incarnations.
Mhm.
Those films were great fun, great popcorn movies, but I thought, yeah, it does really need to get back to its roots a bit, um, which is what it was advertised as. Screenplay by David Koepp, who wrote the screenplay for the original Jurassic Park,
Mhm.
based on Michael Crichton's book. Everything in place for right. Let's get back to what we really know and love about Jurassic Park. Get some of that really good stuff. Some of those, great lines that were in it from the original. No, there was no, there was none of that. Scarlett Johansson gave it her all. I mean, bless her, she was good. I mean, she was
Mm.
good, really good
Mm.
in it. I mean, the acting for the most part was good. The script was not great. There were no memorable lines in it.
Mm.
There was none of that kind of Goldblum, just because they can doesn't
Yeah.
mean they should stuff. There was
Yes.
not really any philosophy in it. There was no clever girl, the
Mm.
with in the previous thing with the raptors, nothing
Yeah.
like that. But the biggest thing I think that made it disappointing, um, the music was good, by the way. Just
Okay.
that was good. That does need a mention. So Alexandra Desplat, who was properly riffing off of John Williams' thing. The theme,
Mm.
you could hear the original themes all the way through, but
Nice.
beautifully then played out into something new. So that
Mm.
was really good. What didn't work was that the whole premise was that scientists had been crossbreeding and whatever to make new dinosaurs. This was like
Okay.
some kind of, furthering the whole science experiment. So basically, there weren't really any proper dinosaurs in it. It's
Oh.
like, well, this is not Jurassic Park, then, really, is it? So it was a monster movie,
Mm.
and some of the monsters were terrifying. there was there
Yes.
was some kids in the screening I went to, and I was thinking, this is not going to play out well for kids. I wouldn't take my grandchildren to see it. Not maybe not quite old enough, but one of them
Mm.
is. I don't think they'd like it. So the monsters are terrifying, but that just makes it a monster movie. So you don't
Yeah.
feel the same sense of trepidation in a way. Um, there is a T-Rex in it. The
Okay.
the best scene was the scene with the T-Rex in it, where he's trying to catch some of the people that are trying to escape from it without being seen, visions based on movement, all of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they're trying to escape in a boat, like an inflatable kind of emergency life raft.
Mm.
Um, and then they fall out of that for various reasons, and there's pursuit in the water. No, it's just that whole scene is really, really good. Apart from eventually the T-Rex grabs hold of the inflatable life craft and picks it up in its jaw and shakes it about, and it doesn't burst. It's like, why is this thing not exploded? It's the
Yes.
T-Rex.
Yeah.
So I didn't
You know,
quite understand that, but
no. I mean, it is a shame. I mean, it. I mean, I don't think I've seen any of the recent Jurassic Park films, but I saw the original again, and I realized what a quirky film it is. A
yeah,
lot of that's down to Jeff Goldblum and his sort of weirdness in it.
yeah,
But again, it's a film that lets the awe build through
mm,
it. And then, you get a bit, and then wow, you finally get the rain-soaked T-Rex kind of
mm,
scenes. But it's not really about the dinosaurs per se. And
mm,
it's about, as you say, the just because we can, should we? It's
mm,
that kind of idea of tampering where we shouldn't, because, things become extinct. Should we, you know, play God and all that? And I
yeah,
love all the sort of chaos stuff that's behind it. And I
Mm,
realized it's a quite cerebral movie,
mm,
considering it's a load of dinosaurs and stuff. But again, it has heart. It's the man who doesn't want children who is
yeah,
forced to look after the two children. And you
yeah.
just go, see, there's intelligence behind that. The fish out of water thing
Mm.
pays off during the film. But I bet there was none of that in this one.
No, not really. No, I mean it did have its moments. There were essentially two groups of people that come together, and it I mean, they have to kind of manufacture the narrative to have these two families of people come together so
Mm,
that there is a child there, but it does feel a bit shoehorned in. It doesn't seem to occur particularly naturally.
no.
Um, and yeah, I agree that the way that Dr. Grant has to look after the child, yeah, it's perfect. And
Yeah.
also, oh, it's Spielberg, isn't it? I mean, just handles that in
Yes.
such a sensitive way, but also
Yeah.
uses it to like you say, gradually dial up
Mm,
the tension, and also the other still Spielberg thing, which is a sequence of beautiful set pieces that are all
yes.
positioned in exactly the right order to
Hmm.
make it flow and build. And this had some really good set pieces, but like I say, to not quite the same extent because they were monsters. Whereas
Mm,
Spielberg, they were dinosaurs. We kind of get that, or it's a shark. We get that.
yeah.
We're scared of that. I mean, dinosaurs
Mm,
aren't around now, but we know them and we are scared of them. They're kind of in our nightmares, but these monsters are just like, hey, look at the monster. Well, that's good,
yeah.
good CG. But
Yeah, no,
there we
I
go.
mean, and it sort of becomes almost King Kong versus Godzilla because it's just
Yeah,
monsters, sort of making mincemeat out of each other. And, you know, because I was writing this Return to Skull Island comic that's coming out at the moment, I went and watched a load of the films, the recent films,
yeah,
and without a doubt, the human cast just looks slightly embarrassed and almost like they're looking at their watches because they know that's what the audience is doing, waiting for the next bit of Kong or the next bit of Godzilla or the next monster fight. They're just
yeah,
padding between those things, and I think that's the problem. Unless you engage on a bit like Fantastic Four bothered to do on a sort of proper human level, it's just, you might as well be playing a computer game.
yeah. I guess so. Did you ever watch the Monarch Legacy of Monsters, or what it was
Oh,
called,
I
on
did. I
TV?
thought that was superb.
I loved it. Yeah,
Yeah. But again, but it's the monsters are secondary to the human story, which is playing out over two times eras
yeah,
and with linkage, and
mm,
oh no, I thought it was great because it's the humans front and center, but oh look, here's an occasional monster. Because it's TV and doesn't have the budget, they can't go
yeah.
crazy on the monsters.
No,
So it
no.
has to be human first. And so you end up with a much more interesting series.
Yeah,
I do
yeah,
love the first time you get it's Kurt Russell, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And his son, and that fade, that the sort of cut between the two of them, son and father, is just so good. Yeah, I mean,
It
no,
is good.
Monarch
Yeah,
is great. I really,
yeah.
really enjoyed Monarch, and Skull Island itself, the little one series of the animated show, even though it's a cartoon and they can have as much Kong as King Kong as they want in it and monsters, it's largely
Mm,
about the human characters who get shipwrecked there and the
right.
interrelationship between a mother and a daughter that hadn't seen each other in X number of years. And I thought,
Mm.
you see, you have to start from that point, and then you can have the monsters.
Yeah, well, I mean, any decent narrative that wants to stand the test of time, and it has to be about character development. It has to be characters that are your access point. You need
Hmm,
to identify with them in some way or another. So you're on it can't just be a top view thing of chaos. You
no,
know, I mean, it's
no.
fun, but it's not about anything then, is it?
No, absolutely. And you have to start from there. Otherwise, if you're not invested in the characters
Yeah.
or you don't believe in the characters, I think that's the trouble, especially when you're doing something like Fantastic Four or Superman. The characters have to be that much more credible and relatable. I always
Mm.
found with Superman, and maybe Superman is a chat for another one because we're eating
Damn,
up
I
the
was looking
time.
forward to getting into
Yes, yeah,
that.
me too. Um, but I think, you know, that's the struggle. I've always struggled with Superman as a character because he's just this slight paragon of
Mm.
virtue, and he's pretty nigh on invulnerable. And, other
Mm.
than kryptonite, which gets old really quickly. So it's just, I always struggle with Superman a little bit with Captain America. These ones that are just representational characters.
Yeah.
I struggle to sort of find any touchstones or empathy with because
Okay.
they're not flawed enough. I mean, all the best heroes are deeply flawed, and it's those
Mm.
flaws they have to surmount over the course of the
Mm.
movie.
Yeah. 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 I guess so. Yeah. That's a, yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway,
So we can talk
so
about Superman next time.
well, I don't know. I
Okay.
mean, we
We need longer, don't we? We need
we need
longer than we've
longer.
probably got. Okay. What
So,
should we get into? Have you got anything else you want to talk about then? Of the
well,
ones we've seen.
uh, let's talk about 28 years later. We've both seen
Okay.
it. It's not superhero, so we can,
Yeah.
cleanse our palates somewhat. Now,
Yeah.
this was interesting because I quite fancied seeing it, and so I went back and thought I'm going to watch certainly the first movie. The second movie, I just remember not enjoying it, but I should maybe give it a rewatch. But I watched the first movie again, 28
Right.
days later, and it really is a movie of two halves.
Hmm.
Where you've got this amazing, disconcerting visceral first half, and then this strange other movie once they reach the military compound.
Right.
And I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to. I think the
Dear.
first time you see it, it was so unlike anything. You're
Yeah.
swept away by it. Fast zombies, even though they're not in zombies, but
Mm.
fast zombies were something we hadn't seen before. And,
Mm.
the scenes in London are chilling, especially just him wandering around for quite a long time in an
Mm.
empty city. Brilliantly
Mm.
done. Anyway,
Mm.
so very quickly, I watched that, thought, okay, well, maybe I'll go and see 28 years later and it'll be more the sequel to that because something about the second one didn't feel like that.
Yeah.
And what a strange film. I, I honestly don't know where to begin with it, really. In some ways, it was quite straightforward and interesting. And in other
Mm.
ways, it was so weird and wacky that you were sort of scratching your head halfway through it. And
Mm.
certainly at the end. So I came out really conflicted by it because I'd enjoyed it. But, I thought, was it necessary to make? Is it the sequel too
Okay.
far? And that's kind of where I ended up, that it didn't need to be made, really. How about you?
Okay. I didn't really watch 28 Days Later.
Mhm.
I don't have all that much memory of 28 Years Later, other than that deserted London
Yeah.
scene, really, which was amazing that they pulled that off back in the day. There was no
Yeah.
VFX to kind of deal with that one. They literally had to choose their time and choose their angles to be able to pull it
Mm.
off, and brilliant it was. Um, it is a much loved movie, even if it's only a much loved movie in people's minds, and not necessarily, like you say, it doesn't necessarily stand up on rewatching. But so anyway, I didn't really watch it, but I didn't really know what to expect with 28 Years Later. I mean, I'd seen trailers and stuff like that. I thought it was strange, but I thought it was fascinating, um, purely because it's a comment on how society or how we have all been affected kind of post Thatcher. I mean it really is a post Thatcher movie. And also it very much obviously it looks at how would we what would we all be like and what would have occurred in the world culturally um, if there have been 28 years previously that whole kind of incident and they're not zombies, but that whole kind of viral thing. What would have happened? So there are so many things that they use as touchstones. You know, like it starts with footage of the Teletubbies, and so what would have been their last memories of things that they loved or things that influenced them, and how does that play out now? Um, you know, because there's references to Power Rangers, and there's all sorts of different references to things that were around at the time, things that we know have either come and gone or have survived the test of time. Like, who would have thought the Transformers would have lasted as long as they don't necessarily talk about Transformers, but there are some of those kind of cultural touchstones, especially for young people. And it's the boy at the beginning whose father is a priest,
Mm.
and how he's affected, and the cult that he creates that we encounter at the end. That is the thing that nobody. Is anybody talking about that
I
yet? Like,
don't know. I mean, it's such a weird ending. I mean, it's a strange film, but it was a film. It had a structure to it, and
yeah,
then the end feels like what is
yeah, but
is it?
there are going to be two more movies, aren't there? So.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
And also, like, it was interesting when we were talking about Fantastic Four, and we were talking about how it's a very kind of almost like female or feminine sensibility thing driving the narrative, as opposed to all the endless amount of male kind of driven narratives that we tend to have in movies. Um, but I think 28 years later was interesting because it had both of those things. So we start off with the very kind of male approach with the boy, not the boy who's the son of the priest, but
Yes.
you know, the boy who's the lead character in it. How he's tutored by his father. So he goes out and he learns to hunt. He learns how to kill the zombies, how to survive, all those very sort of male things that you need to learn to survive in this essentially post-apocalyptic world. But then the thing that it becomes is more about his relationship with his mother,
Mm.
about empathy and about spirituality, and all those things play out large. And I think that's probably more gonna then play out in the second movie, The Bone Temple.
Sure.
Um, so I like the fact that it had both of those
Mm.
things inside of this interesting comment on popular culture.
Yeah, and it sort of played with your preconceptions because again, if you see the trailer, you immediately think the Ralph Fiennes character is going to be the bad guy in it.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
just that's the way they play it. And I thought that was a nice sleight of hand
yeah,
that, he is almost the most empathic character in it.
yeah,
And, I really liked the interactions between the boy and him. I thought that was where it got to a movie where I thought, oh, okay, I really like this. I understand where it's going because
yeah,
some of the rest of it, I was like, so wait a second, again, this thing where it strains your credulity. So they're completely isolated, except they keep going out on more or less pointless trips into the very dangerous area where there are infected.
yeah.
You know, that I'm sure they wouldn't do it that, it just there was something initially I didn't buy at all in
What
it.
was there a reason that they needed to go out? I can't remember now.
I,
Did
I
they have to?
suppose I suppose it's just training the next generation and that they needed a certain amount of food and raw materials from
Yeah,
off the island.
yeah,
But it just felt like a little bit too a rite of passage, and that didn't feel like something they would bother doing.
hmm, possibly, yeah. maybe it's yeah, who knows? Yeah, I'm sure there's something we missed, but it's interesting you mentioned the Ray Fiennes character because yes, he very much becomes almost like that grandfather character. Like he's
Mm,
the proper male mentor. The
yes.
father mentor is just like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's not very good. And the boy loses all faith in the father,
Yeah, it does,
and
yeah.
then Rafe kind of replaces that. But I
Mm,
really liked all that. I thought the sort of the core of the film was quite strong,
mm,
but some of the other elements just didn't quite gel together for me.
mm, mm.
But but having said that, it A wasn't a superhero movie. Phew.
Yeah.
And it did at least operate on a human level. The story was a human story.
Yeah, and I think the thing is because, it is Danny Boyle, it's not superheroes, it's something kind of different, but it does have that legacy of the first movie. It is rooted. It's a very British movie,
Mm,
um, very British because culturally it's very British, and I
yeah.
think it's a good movie because it's got something to say. It hasn't all been said yet because there are two movies to follow it, but I like that it's got something really meaty to say
Mm,
about the human condition because of the scenario that they all find themselves in. It's like good sci-fi. It will
yeah.
say something about the human condition, and it also expresses something about probably his politics and popular
Yes.
culture.
Yeah. I just wish, in a way, that had been it. And that's the end of it. But the fact that it starts off a whole other trilogy is just, it's like I can't see myself bothering with 28 years and a few months later.
Yeah. Well, it becomes, yeah, so it's not 28 anything, is it?
No.
It's called the Bone Temple. I don't know
Yes.
whether maybe it's still set in the same year, so it's still 28 years later.
Yes. Yeah. It feels like probably
Colon the
subtitles.
Bone Temple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, subtitle city.
Yeah.
Well, I think we pretty much have run out of time.
Yeah, okay. What are we going to talk
So,
about next time then? What's left on your list?
well,
Definitely
I've
Superman.
still got Superman. Superman's a big chat, I feel.
Yeah,
I've got Thunderbolts.
right.
Um, and I've got a few other peripheral ones like I saw Gladiator 2 again on pay-per-view. Oh no, it actually wasn't pay-per-view, thankfully.
Right.
But but otherwise I'd have felt extremely diddled. But I'd like to talk about that for another reason because
Okay.
we then followed it with another film which was much more what I was expecting Gladiator 2 to be. So
Okay.
we can mention that, and I know you've got a few more on your list, haven't you?
Yeah, I saw F1, the Formula One thing with Brad Pitt. Yeah, just a few things to say about that. Interesting movie. Good. I mean, in terms of summer blockbusters, I don't, that was probably one of the best, but it's not perfect. There's some interesting things to say about that. Others I've seen, the Phoenician Scheme. Touch on that. It's not an awful lot to say, but Mission Impossible 8,
Mm,
Dead Reckoning, Part 2, longest
yeah.
title ever. Um, yeah, it'd be good to talk about that. Um, what else? A
The
brief.
the
I'll
salt
briefly
part.
mention the Salt Path.
Path,
Yeah,
yes, yeah. Which I've
just because you have to.
since we spoke off air, I've been reading all the background to that. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah, well, that's all right. Well, you can, as you've been reading, doing some homework, you can add some comments on that. And
Yes.
then because it's not out yet, but because there's the big Nolan Odysseus film coming
Mm,
out at some point, there is another little film that people need to see before they see that,
okay.
which
I
is kind
mean,
of a little bit like your Gladiator thing.
is that the return?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really want to see that. So don't tell me anything because I actually do want to watch that, and then we
Okay.
can chat about that too.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Good.
Good.
Well,
Well,
that's it.
great chatting. We may not pick this up in the next one. We may just slot back into our regular podcast format. Um, we're working on our next guest. We've got the live episode coming up. So there's
Yeah.
lots to look forward to.
Yeah. Yeah. TF Nation, here we come.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think
Well,
they've actually announced me. They hadn't done before.
oh, right, okay.
They've got a
And
sponsor in place. I was being sponsored, so I think they tied
are
it in with
you?
that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Who are you being
whatever that
sponsored
means.
by?
Yeah, Durex. I don't know.
Yeah. Yes. Oh God, I hope I'm being sponsored by somebody. I feel quite left out now. Anyway,
Yeah,
right. Yes, all good stuff. I will see you at TF Nation, and thank you everyone for listening. And we will be back in a fortnight's time.
we will indeed. Okay. Goodbye, Simon, and goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to The Rest is Giant Robots. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider subscribing for more and maybe share with like-minded friends. This has been a Wildfur production.